Welcome to Indian Infrastructure's webinar on digitalization in process industries, focus on cement and steel. My name is Alok Brara. I'm the publisher of Indian Infrastructure magazine, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. And as a backup, I've got Priyanka and Ishita, just in case something happens to me, they will carry on the show. But of course, I'm hoping that I will do the moderation. Wonderful to have you all join on time. That's great. Let me quickly tell you what the agenda is. We are going to begin with the presentation by Belden, a 15-minute presentation. And then we'll have a panel discussion where we will discuss questions like what are the digital technologies being adopted by cement and steel players? What has been the impact? What is the potential of automation in process industries, specifically actually steel and cement? And what are the needs and requirements going forward? What have been the big issues and challenges? And what are the best practices? And we'll make that a fairly freewheeling one and back and forth a bit. And to the delegates, I would say, you don't have to wait to put in your questions after the presentation or after the discussion. As the questions come to you, please put them in Q&A or chat. Q&A is preferable. And that way we make sure that your questions are answered for sure. Let me welcome all the panelists. I'm Mr. Chakraborty from Adani Enterprises, Mr. Das from Chakraborty Steel Plant, Mr. Jha from SAIL Bhilai Plant, Mr. Kumar from Belden, Mr. Mishra from GSW Cement, Mr. Sharma from Nuvoco Vistas, and also Mr. Nitin from Belden. I am going to introduce first the presenters, and then after the presentation, I will introduce the panelists. Let me then do the presentation. Mr. Nitin SP, Solution Sales Director, Energy and Process Automation. Since 2006, he's been working in industrial automation and networking areas such as machine automation, process automation, Ethernet testing, measurement, has worked with manufacturing plants, power plants, etc. Has earlier worked with Siemens, Moxa, and Cisco as well. Welcome, Mr. Nitin. Also with us is Mr. Gaurav Shanbag, who is Senior Solutions Consultant at Belden as well. Has more than a decade of experience in enterprise and industry domains, working in cybersecurity solutions, system architecture, industrial cybersecurity, wireless solutions, and he provides strategic advice on developing technologies and evangelizing the OT community to assist customers. And he's also driving the 4.0 journey and therefore works with IT/OT integration, process optimization, etc. And so therefore, so we're going to have a presentation first, which I think is Gaurav is hosting. Gaurav, you have the rights, I hope?
Yes,
okay.
I have the rights. I will share my screen
and so 15-minute presentation, and then we'll begin the panel discussion. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think if my screen is visible, maybe Nitin, you can start off.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Alokji. Thanks, Gaurav. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nitin, and it's my pleasure to be presenting this part about Belden. We'll start with a quick introduction of Belden for those of you who don't know Belden. So let me start off. The primary purpose of Belden is to build the foundation for a digital world. We're doing this primarily through three of our focus segments. One is industrial automation solutions, smart buildings, and also broadband and 5G. We will be deep diving more into industrial automation solutions. That is the core segment for today's topic. Yeah, next slide, Gaurav. So how we make this digital journey simpler, smarter, and secure for our customers is through a wide range of our performance-driven product portfolio. It ranges from cables to converters to switches, wireless, cybersecurity, all of that. And of course, we have the right team for it. Forward thinking, we're always ready, we're always adapting ourselves to the latest technology, the latest requirements from customers. And that's why we take pride in building purpose or custom-built solutions for our customers, which essentially increases their efficiency. We're practically present in every continent of the world except for Antarctica, and we have 25 plus manufacturing facilities around the world, and we are obviously technology driven, so we have more than 1,000 patents associated with Belden globally. So let me just give you a quick intro of what Belden stands for. Belden is, Belden will give you a single solution, but behind that one single Belden solution are going to be two segments. Data acquisition and transmission is essentially how Belden started off. We are originally a cable manufacturing company. Belden was that 120 years ago. And from then, it's been a transformation that we've gone through when we've acquired a lot of companies, a lot of expertise through those acquisitions, and we've built a very strong portfolio for data acquisition and transmission. Whereas in the data orchestration and management, we use that data which has been acquired from the field level, and we bring it to the right places in the right manner, in a very redundant and a cyber secure manner. So if I have to just give you a quick example, data acquisition and transmission is like our hands and legs. You can only pick stuff, but the main body and the brain is the data orchestration and management, which actually processes that data. And that's why we give you the one Belden solution. When we talk about industrial automation solutions, why we're focused more on this for today's discussion is because we deep dive into 4 key verticals here. One is discrete automation, which is part of cement, steel, and all of that. We talk of process automation, which has a lot more things which come in as oil and gas, etc. We have energy, which is the power utilities, and mass transit, which is mainly the metros, the mainline railways, airports, etc. What is important to understand is any solution is incomplete if I tilt more towards the OT or the operational technology or the industrial automation in the field level, or if I am too centric on the IT side, which is only in a control center or on the top layer of the network. So we give you a complete IT to OT solution, which includes cybersecurity, which includes wired, wireless, all the whole array of solutions here. So let me just take you, why we're having this call is because, well, Industry 1.0, the focus was on, instead of humans working, get the machines to work. Industry 2.0 in the late 19th century was more about how to get more machines to do much more work in a faster pace. But then the evolution happened in the late 20th century where we said, okay, fine, we have a lot of machines, we're not able to control that, right? So let's bring a little bit of an automation, get some computers involved there, get some electronics involved there. But the true innovation and true transformation that's happening today is by bringing a lot of digital technologies into the industry operational flow. How that is happening is because we have a lot of data. IoT is playing a big role. Networks are there. All of that is so important and critical, but at the same time, we have to do it in a very secure manner. So maybe we'll just have a look at why we focused on the cement and steel. I'm sure most of the panelists would agree with this. If we look at the cement industry, we had a slightly flat period, I would say, during the COVID era, but then it's expected to grow. Same is the case with steel. It's expected to jump at about 5% CAGR annually. Why is this recovery happening? Why is this growth happening? Is because it's post-COVID. Most of the industries are investing. And also the infrastructure projects which were on hold or on pause for the last so many years are all opening up. We can see that all around us, metros are being constructed, new airports are coming up, etc. What happens with this is the economic status of all the citizens in India also increase. And by virtue of that, there's a demand for real estate. That's again where cement and steel has a major portion to play in. But when these opportunities are coming your way, what most of our customers are looking at and what they're telling us is they're looking at increasing their production efficiency. And how that is possible would be to use the data which is available in the plant. If we don't use data to improve the efficiency, it would only be a one-sided effort that I think so, we should be doing this, and not a very convincing answer. Another way that most of the customers are achieving this sustained business growth and preparing themselves for the real growth in the business in terms of revenue is by connecting their existing plants. By doing this, they have a better visibility of all the planning, all the dashboards, all the performance matrices that they have in all those plants. So I would hand over to Gaurav at this point of time, and he's going to take us through the technology and the solution part of it. Over to you, Gaurav.
Yeah, thanks, Nitin. So, yeah, so cement and steel, both are into infrastructure building, and if you see the processes, there's a series of processes which are there in terms of automation, in terms of the bringing out the best end product. So in cement particularly, you have the dry processes and you have the wet processes, right from the quarries to the dispatch. So there is a level of automation at each of these processes, but then still, if individually, although they are automated, when we see in totality, these are all still disconnected processes, and due to which there is a lot of manual intervention. The data is contained for that a particular process, and that's the reason why there is no way to gain centralized visibility and control towards minimizing the losses that are happening. Similar ways in the metal and mining, as well as in the steel industry, to be particular, there is a lot of harsh mechanical processes, a series of processed right from the mining, iron ore, coal, limestone, and taking it on through processes like stackers, reclaimers. A lot of harsh processes, and that when it comes to steel manufacturing, all these processes that is on the blast furnace, electric furnace, refining. It's a very it's not that you're conducive to your human safety, but at the same time these processes are very critical, right? Now when it comes to overcoming the losses in these process plants, it is mainly categorized as 8 major losses. If you see it in a broad spectrum, some of which are avoidable and some of which are unavoidable. For example, when you have a scheduled shutdown or a production adjustment according to the demand, or scheduled shutdown that happens annually or periodically for maintenance purpose, those are some things that you cannot avoid. But then, those are shutdown losses. But some things like equipment failures, process failures, where there is, a lapse in the maintenance of the equipment, or the process fails, so those are some downtimes which are really affects the production and the quality. Then there can be regular production losses and irregular production losses. Some things which are which can be due to the restarting of a particular process or switchover. Some things that can be due to the production increase or decrease of production rate. That can be happening, and there can always be any defects that is being formed in the end product, as well as some reprocessing that needs to be that can be possible. So those are all different losses, which the net value operating hour is what is really useful, right? So minimizing these losses is very important, and that can be done with data, by implementing technologies. It can be robotics, it can be artificial intelligence, machine learning. There can be just implementing technologies, but is not enough. It is with the right technique. So it can be something where you have a process clean sheeting. It can be not something that is an incremental change to an existing process, rather creating a new process, or something from the scratch that really optimizes the value of of adopting a particular solution. And that is what the digital journey is about. When we talk about Industry 4.0, mainly it is about bringing the data at an equilibrium. Now, so that's what is about digitizing the assets. When we talk about digitizing, it is about bringing it on a common platform where we are able to build a network connectivity, because it's all data. When it's data, it's an the legacy systems may not have an IP, but those can be brought into a common platform on an IP, and then further on a common platform. And that is what is data acquisition, where digitizing the digitizing assets. Further, when you have all the data on a common platform, you are able to do common the flow of data. You are deciding the flow of data. You are having the data which can be monitored. Now you can see what is the efficiency, what is the assets that are connected, and then you can diagnose the root cause at certain at a level by pinpointing that okay, so this is a process which is consuming a certain amount, which is not operating as per the defined procedure, or defined the process. So that's where you can do the monitoring and diagnosing. And furthermore, when you have so this is the pre-ingestion part. But when you talk about post-ingestion, where you are now able to control the processes by using a digital interface, or by a remote, by doing a manless processes, that's where the real utility of all this digitizing comes into picture. And when you have all this data, now you are able to also use it for processing it at the edge, as well as you are able to visualize it for analytics, for a larger picture, to reduce the resources, or optimize the resources for all the processes. So customers basically struggle with digitizing the assets, and that's where Belden is able to be in the right position with the right solutions and products that comes into strengthening the networking connectivity backbone. And that's where the data that is originating from the sensor, that is originating from the field to the cloud is facilitated. A typical implementation of a digital solution, it's a step-by-step process. So it starts with establishing backbone, where you have sensors and PLCs, but most of the time you will see your OEMs are supplying the sensors and PLC and the setups. But bridging it, or building it into the OT network is something that is a concern of most OT customers, because it's all silos that OEMs are providing the different setups, but these are still working individually. They are not connected with each other. So building it into an OT network or backbone is what brings all of these processes on a common platform. And at the same time, when you're connecting devices, when you're connecting assets, securing it such that each process does not affect the other process. Any compromise that happens in a single process should not affect the other process. So that is how you are building in security, by creating multiple checkpoints, right? And when you have these, when you have established backbone, that's when you are having that infrastructure.
About 4 more minutes, please. 4 minutes roughly.
Yes. So we have the way to visualize the workflows, where we are able to ingest the data, store and visualize. And then ultimately all of this data can be used on the analytics on the cloud, at the edge, as well as on the cloud. Now Belden is into a space where we are able to deliver a strong network backbone, which can bring in the brownfield, greenfields, as well as legacy setups, you digitize them, and take it to the future expansion, where the analytics is happening on the edge and the cloud, right? So determinism being very important for OT assets, building infrastructure that is able to handle time sensitive networks, something that are time sensitive processes. That is where the infrastructure is very important in terms of creating the network backbone, connecting the operations on the OT and the analytics on the manufacturing IT. If you see a block diagram of a digital plant, the pre-ingestion and in the post-ingestion, you have it comes with all these sensing the parameters like vibrations, pressures, temperature, which needs to be further, which is of course the operational part. But when it comes to visualizing these processes, it is about how securely you are able to deliver. So the entire infrastructure has to be adhering to certain guidelines. It has to be something which needs to comply to the standards as per IEC 62443, and doing SCADA enforcement on the OT protocols, on which function blocks needs to be read and which needs to be read and write privileges, what is the visibility in terms of threat detection, whether the devices are authenticated or not. So all these different aspects are covered in the pre-ingestion, and the analytics part where you are doing, sending data on the cloud, doing the secure remote access of your plant for operational purposes. That is where a complete digital plant, covers in terms of the connectivity and cybersecurity. So the right approach is for the right results, as organizations are, embracing new market trends for future growth and easily scale to the next level. Connectivity is very important, where you put data to work. You are digitizing your legacy devices. It's not a replacement. It is a retrofit where you are not replacing completely the existing infra. So the approach needs to be there, which is which needs to be a smooth transition. But at the same time, the existing staff needs to also be ready for this change. So, but it should not be a difficult one. So skills, this changing of skills and all, it needs to be a easy to adapt kind of solutions which are implemented. And when all of this is done, when you're having a IEC 62443 kind of approach, which validates your security first mindset, that's when you're able to visualize and adapt to the digital change that the organization will gain out of. And if you see in a full picture, this is how a connected plant will look like. It's all the rings, process rings, which are redundant, highly available, highly scalable, and all the data volumes are handled, with data getting to the cloud, on multiple platforms like Azure. It can be a private cloud. A lot of organizations are building apps on analytics. So the infrastructure is ready for doing all this advanced stuff. So all in all, why Belden? Because we exist to build the foundation of a digital world, because we have a very strong performance-driven portfolio with the right set of people and products, with a future thinking expertise and purpose-built solutions. So we are all game for all the digital transformations that customers are going through. So that's more or less from this presentation. And questions, if any, we are open to answer it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Shanbag. If you can stop sharing.
Yes.
So that we are able to. Thank you for that very concise presentation. I should mention that they already have quite a few questions for your team. There are about 10 questions for your team. So the Belden team can feel free to answer those questions. You can type them in, and that's fine. Let's get to the panel discussion part. And as I said, what we're going to discuss in the panel discussion is really the digital technologies being adopted, impact, what's the potential, what are the issues and challenges, what are the requirements, what is the way forward. We'll try to do this in 3 rounds. The first round, I'm really going to focus on what are the digital technologies that are being adopted by the players right now, and what has been the impact on operations. In the second round, I'll ask them in terms of needs and requirements, future needs and requirements, what's the potential, etc. And then in the third one, we'll talk about issues and challenges and maybe the best way to address them. And I'll make sure that each one of you has a first shot at a question. So it would not be like, everyone gets a shot at the first question. And let me introduce the panelists. First, Mr. Sanjay Chakraborty is Head of Technology, Adani Enterprises, Natural Resources. He's a digital transformation professional, has more than 2 decades of experience. Working in mining area, working in E&P area, has worked with the AI, ML, analytics, which everyone wants to talk about today, and data and information management, IT infrastructure management, also geospatial analysis, among other things. Before he joined this position, he was digital leader at Cairn Oil and Gas. He's a alumnus of Indian Institute of Technology, Dhanbad. It used to be called Indian School of Mines, as some of you know. Welcome, Mr. Chakraborty. Wonderful to have you with us, sir. Also,
thank you, Mr. Brother.
Also, this is
it was a very nice introduction.
Thank you. Also, this is Mr. Suman Das, General Manager IT, who's Visakhapatnam Steel Plant, also known as RINL. Currently, he's responsible for all the digital operations of Vizag Steel, and he's looking after infrastructure and facilities of level 2 to 4 sections. As you can imagine, at IT, he's involved with just everything in terms of planning, network planning, in terms of operations, etc., etc. He's an electrical engineer by training from Jadavpur University. Mr. Das, wonderful to have you there. And I'm just going to alert you that when I'm done with the presentations, I'll be coming to you for the question first about technologies adopted and impact. So we might be prepared for that. We also have with us Mr. Prem Kumar Jha. I just want to make sure I see him here on mine. Yes, there you are, Mr. Jha. Mr. Jha is Chief General Manager of Computer and Information Technology at Bhilai Steel Plant, part of SAIL. Has been working with SAIL now for 3.5 decades. He moved to C&IT Bhilai Steel Plant, earlier worked in plate mill many years ago. And he's worked on a lot of digital initiatives, as you can imagine, given his position, including a number of projects in SAP modules and MES, and also worked with payroll, and has been order tracking system, payment query, vehicle tracking system, etc., etc. And is a key member of the digital transformation team at Steel Authority of India Limited. He's an alumnus of IIT BHU. Also is fluent in German language as well, and has a postgraduate diploma as well from IGNOU. Wonderful to have you with us, Mr. Jha. Great. I'm so glad you could join us. Also with us is Mr. Sujith Kumar from Belden, Director, Global Technical Solutions. He's got more than a decade of experience, and he helps customers transform their business and has experience across a broad spectrum of IT, OT convergence, from network design to cybersecurity consultation, and now, of course, edge computing. Welcome, Mr. Kumar. Also with us is Mr. Aurobindo Mishra, General Manager, JSW Cement. Mr. Mishra has almost 2 decades of experience and has worked successfully across in different companies, successfully spearheading projects involving supply chain management, strategic planning, and operational improvement, and has created exponential value and savings for the companies by doing that. He's an industrial engineer from National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar, also has an MBA from, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, of business in Toronto. So glad you could join us today, Mr. Mishra. Wonderful to have you with us. And Gaurav Shanbag, I've already introduced. Mr. Pankaj Sharma is General Manager IT at Nuvoco Vistas, has about more than 2 decades of experience handling on-premise data centers, servers, Oracle EBS databases, Lotus Domino, and complex network environments. Currently, he's working on consolidation of data centers, has a keen interest in Industry 4.0, and has implemented RP and dashboards using custom-built development teams, tools with the internal team. Has been responsible for planning, design, and implementation and operation of technology-driven solutions, Rashtriya Limited, and he has many such events to his credit, and he's an alumni of BITS Pilani. Welcome, Mr. Sharma. Wonderful to have you with us. And Nigam I've already introduced. So that's the panelists. And so what I'm going to do is go to the customers first, and then I will also give a chance to one of the Belden representatives, and they can address whatever they heard from the customers. So the customers first, and then Belden. And I have a bit of a random system here. So Mr. Suman Das, you get to answer the first question. Same question I'll have for everyone. The digital technologies that you've recently adopted, and what's been the impact, the ones that you are most satisfied and excited about. And again, we'll keep it short questions, short answers, so we can have 3 or 4 rounds of question answers with me, and then some from the audience as well. Yeah, Mr. Das. Yeah, sir, you're muted.
Sorry, can you repeat the question once more?
Yes, sir. Digital technologies that have been adopted by your plant or your operation, and what has been the impact, and just 2 or 3 key technologies that you feel have contributed the most.
Yeah. First, I thank you for offering me the opportunity to interact with all these people, all of you important people. Anyway, in Visakhapatnam steel plant, there's particularly the area of rolling mills, then steel melt shop, blast furnace. These are the major areas where the digital technology has already been implemented at the time of inception of the plant. And this technology is used for the benefit of the organization, in the sense that it helps in tracking the material, quality control, then to some extent cost control, and genealogy of the material, so that genealogy of the product, rather to say, so that the users who are there, to whom the product is supplied, they can also be assured, and we can also track if there is any problem in the quality. This is one part of it. Second part of it is that we have imbibed one solution called e-office. e-office is government inception of note sheets or proposals, movement, workflow. Rather to say it is a complete workflow process, which is in electronic form or digital form. That has been imbibed in our culture. So we are taking benefit of it. Searching of the files or searching of the information has become much easier than what used to be when physical files were being moved. The other thing is that, of course, SAP ERP has been implemented, which helps in having the whole of the data in digital form and analyze them or use it for any other practical purposes, where the next stage of thing, that is digital transformation, can help. The basic thing of digitalization, I will tell that it is basically to go to the next step forward, that is to change the business process or transform the business process so that it gives a satisfying experience to the customers, suppliers, and of course, the organization gets the maximum benefit out of it. So to that extent, we have taken a step forward. Thank you.
Mr. Jha, I'll come back to you next, sir. Same question, sir. In your plant in Bhilai, the 2 or 3 recent digital technology implementations that you are very excited and very satisfied about.
Thank you, Alok, and good afternoon, everybody. This is a great opportunity to interact in such a gathering. All people are from diverse field, and definitely big learning will be there out of this. So far as Bhilai Steel Plant is concerned, is one of the main unit of SAIL, and the integrated steel plant having, I think as Suman was telling, that Bhilai Steel Plant came later, and it is more modern than Bhilai Steel Plant. But then Bhilai Steel Plant has got to both mix up old and new technology. So starting sometime in late 50s, and many projects, additional things came up later. So now, so far as this recent past, that particularly after COVID and all, there was a lot of digital intervention because of some compulsion, some opportunity. So as someone was also telling that we had a lot of paperwork earlier through note sheet and approval processes that we did through SAP notification workflow system, wherein all paperless movements are there, which has really helped our people, because earlier they had to chase the files and approval process. Now they can see online, and the approvals are taking in a minute sometime. That is one big thing. The other thing that was a big change was, like in SAIL, we had say payroll done from 25 different places of different units in different branches of CMO, and a lot of other auxiliary units were there. So that we did from Bhilai. Now we are paying from Bhilai. We are processing complete payroll process, taking all inputs through on our internet upload and validations, and we are making payment from Bhilai itself, all deductions, tax, PF, and everything. So that is one big change that people have felt, because people can see online their all data across all units all over India, and some people are posted abroad also, and they are also able to see the things themselves. When ITR filing and other things, all assistance is provided. That is one big change that people are feeling. Besides that, there was a requirement during COVID that MSME had to know about the payment status of the supply or services provided. And then there was a requirement that all units, there should be a single platform wherein the vendor is or service provider is supplying some services to different units. They can see all local position of their payment process, where it is stuck and when they are likely to get paid. So that again, we made our portal, we made ourselves, and then that has been provided. And all units are, and mind you, when we have systems of different integrated plans differently done, like SAP also, we have got 6-7 instances. So it was a challenging thing to get all data at one place and to have a security as well, and confidentiality as well. So those things have been done. That was one change that our customers have felt in a big way, and other vendors. And for customers also, we have done recently, we have done QR code implementation in our products, that if they scan the QR code, they can see the this thing, your test certificate there. So that is linked directly to our SAP system. So that is one of the very recent intervention that we have made. And then we have a digital transformation team all across main units of sale. And we are having consistently, we are meeting and interacting. We are enabling our people for skilling them to take up projects in data analytics and machine learning. So those things are, like we had done recently, we had done something on coke prediction based on the coal quality. We can predict the coke quality, and that helps our blast furnace to align their processes. So there are a few initiatives that I'm mentioning. I'm eager to listen to others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jha. I will go next to Mr. Mishra now. Mr. Mishra, same question for you, sir. Recent digital technology implementations that you are very happy about.
A very good afternoon to everybody, and great to be here. I'm technically from the cement background and cement industry, and so long the cement industry has been not on the forward part for the digitalization and taking up technologies on a very forefront. But lately, from the last might be from the 4 to 5 years, many of the technologies has come into the cement domain, including if I talk about the supply chain management that is being done today in this in the cement industry. We have technologies and softwares by which we can basically spot out any of the vehicles, any of the cement vehicles that ply in the plant and outside the plant premises. Meaning, if a vehicle comes into, we can definitely understand the tab that's happening, the position of the vehicle inside the plant, the position of the vehicle outside the plant at the depots anywhere in India. So that kind of technologies are available with us, wherein we control the diversion of the vehicles, or basically we can even see the pilferage that's happening in transit and how the vehicles are behaving. The transit time of the vehicle has been monitored through that. The TAT inside the plant, the TAT at the customer premises, the loading unloading time, including the management at the depots, how the depots are being, the warehouses are being controlled. All these stuffs are being monitored in a very digital manner, and we have a proper team in place based out of our headquarters who monitor on these things on a daily basis and an hourly basis. Having said that, when we talk about processes, I've just gone through the presentation that Belden has projected. We have softwares in place for each of the technologies, but as stated that they are aloof in part, they are in silos, and that needs to be clubbed. So we'll be more than interested to discuss with Belden how do we take forward the things and what are the advantages and what are the success stories they have, so that we can apprise our management, and might be we can take a call to digitalize all our processes in place. So we are definitely looking forward, apart from the present digital era, we are also looking forward for more of the software based digital thing that can happen in processes and in the systems. I would also like to highlight the fact over here that for an industry, for a cement industry or a steel industry, it's very very compulsory at the time to get into the digital form, but at the same time we need to understand the digital phenomena of our stakeholders, our vendors and our customers, because until unless the whole supply chain is not into a single loop, basically the benefits doesn't come out. So we would need to, in the future, we would definitely need to see how our vendors and our customers are aligned into our digital world. So I'll be discussing a little more further on this, might be in the second part, wherein you'll be getting into the concerns and way forward. But this is the present phenomena that we are having.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sharma. Same question for you, sir.
Hello, thanks for giving me this opportunity to share my views. So we had achieved a dashboard using the legacy systems in the cement industry. We had grown from 1 location to 13 locations. At a time, different OEMs were used. So while the data analytics solution was available, but with different OEMs, each one of them were pushing their own solutions. So we created a custom solution wherein we were able to leverage data from the 15 critical equipments, and the critical equipments were defined by the plant team. The parameters were defined by them, and we created a dashboard for the analytics, and the cement mill operators could see those parameters in a real-time fashion. So for example, a particular unit or a particular plant location was giving a higher efficiency. It was more energy efficient or was giving more productivity. Typically, these values or these information was shared on a monthly basis with other plants. So the learning was missed. So we were able to share them on a real-time basis. The other operators or new operators or people who were learning could see the data in real-time fashion. Why a coal mill or maybe a cement mill, raw mill, why is that particular location is performing at a much higher rate? Similarly, we included the dispatch information. As Mr. Mishra already highlighted, cement industry is very much dependent on the logistic cost. And the penny saved on the logistic cost is the profit earned. So we also included the TAT data on that. On a real-time basis, you could see what is the amount of dispatches which were available, the amount of orders which are available on the dashboard, the tentative dispatch which has been done till now, and based on the availability of the trucks at a particular location, what is the tentative dispatch which is possible on that given date. So accordingly, the marketing team could also plan for the customer delivery, the diversions, the planning could be done according to that. Similarly, we implemented the automated delivery system, which were not dependent on any manpower. So the truck could enter automatically based on the RFID cards, get their gross weight done, unload the material automatically using the unloaders, and then do the tear weight. And immediately, the moment the truck moves out of the plant, the quality test and the freight is readily available for the transporters. So this allowed us to get better freight rates from the transporters because the payment was being done almost instantaneously. We also created a digital dashboard for them. The transporters were able to do the bidding. Reverse auction was done for the freight bidding. On a real-time basis, we allowed them to see the amount of quantity available for a particular location. The different transporters would outbid them, and this allowed us to get almost 20 to 25% lesser rate than the competition available in the market. Similarly, we leveraged the RPA to do few automated tasks. There were on the single ERP screen, there were 3 different tabs which were to be clicked before an invoice could be printed. Using RPA, we automated these 3 simple tasks, and we were able to save 3 manpowers at every plant location on all the ships. So this not only allowed us to save the manpower, but it also made the system more efficient, less error prone, because the dependency on the manpower was removed. Similarly, we were able to do the performance analytics of the plant machinery. We implemented automatic truck dispatch system. In the mining area, there are huge machines which are very costly, and any failure would mean a huge loss to the business. So we were able to monitor the parameters of the machines and increase their utilization by up to 98%. Because we gave them the situation awareness to the operators. They were able to see which crusher is functioning, where is the best quality of raw material available for pickup. So these initiatives help us a lot.
Thank you.
To improve the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Chakraborty has been patiently listening, and Mr. Chakraborty, in the next round, you will be in fact we'll get the first shot in the next round. But this question, sir, same question for you. The digital technologies that have recently been implemented that you feel you are very happy and satisfied about.
No problem. Thank you. First of all, I think all the people are making a great sense, talking very relevant stuff. And I'm seeing the people are giving their real life examples instead of talking about jargons or the digital marketing stuff. So I'm very happy to be here and very happy to listen to all this. Let me answer this question. Let me take 30 seconds to explain the value chain. This mining, sometimes we talk it as a mine and metal. Of course, cement cannot be considered as a metal, but the process remains the same. So it starts with one part where sourcing the raw material, the mining and the mineral beneficiation, and a lot of mining operations Mr. Sharma was talking about, and with certain amount of logistics involved in it. Then comes the midstream, where we are processing that and creating a finished product like cement or steel, or even in case of us, we produce a lot of washed coals. And then the third leg, what is the downstream, is I'm taking those finished material to the market, right? So these are the three different segments which mining and metal industry works on. And then comes another horizontal digital layer which helps us to run the business, like SAP. Somebody has talked about the ERPs, and with the COVID and all, we are connecting digitally the collaborative environments and so on. Of course, Adani came into the news with the recent cement acquisition, but we are just trying to understand that part of the business and trying to bring that into our fold. We have been purely into mining, which is mining of coal as well as iron ore, and of course certain amount of processing and mineral beneficiations at the iron ore side, and also we have our process plant for coal, which we call it as a washery. And the third leg is, of course, we are very much present in moving those finished good to the customer end, so mine to market. We have implemented, I think we have touched upon all these things. We have implemented a real-time tracking of railway rakes, where we have installed a GPS onto the railways and tried to see that where is the bottleneck, where our rakes are getting delayed, and where is the pilferage, what is the loss, and so on. We have also done an interesting project of monitoring the mines using satellite technologies. We are taking satellite images on a very frequent times. You take one photo and you take exactly on the same AOI, same latitude, longitude, you take another photo and try to see what has changed in the mines. So that's something which we have done. On the process side, of course, we have a big ambition where we are going to implement condition-based monitoring. So we are collecting a lot of data, real-time data. There's some Belden people have spoken about the temperature, the vibrations, the currents, and whatnot. And then we are visualizing in real time, but we are trying to make it really Industry 4.0, where this data will be analyzed and used to predict that when could be the failure, and we are calling it as a condition-based monitoring. So far, we are seeing the data in real time. We are in the process of implementing a modeling exercise. We call it as an advanced plant management, where we'll be actually modeling it in two different ways, in their physical models as well as their pattern recognized models. So that is what we'll be doing. On the horizontal side, Adani has been a big organization. So we have done many implementations like SAP Ariba, the Rivas auctions, the Microsoft Teams, the document management systems. It's kind of a digitalized. We got that benefit of being attached to a conglomerate like Adani. So we have implemented a large amount of stuffs. On the downstream side, again, we are actually implementing a completely automated logistics, where we monitor our goods at every minute on the road and trying to see any pilferages which is happening, or if we need to take any real-time intervention so that we can do that. So that's what, in a brief, I'll be very happy to even talk about any of these technologies if we want to get into a deep dive.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty. And before I ask one of the Belden people, perhaps it's Sujith, they can decide. One of them can respond to what you heard from your customers. And after that, I'm going to come back with a second round of questions. And this time is going to be focused more on future and so-called digital transformation. And what are the priorities? What are going to be priority areas for you going forward for digital transformation? And the next round, I'm going to begin with Mr. Chakraborty after we hear from Mr. Sujith Kumar. Mr. Kumar, I'm assuming it's you now, since we've not heard from you.
Sure. Thanks. First of all, I'm very happy because our language which we are telling and what is the reality which we are hearing from the customer, it both matches, like which means like the solution which that is a happy. For example, Mr. Sharma, he mentioned about the very basic fundamental, all these plans being deployed in over the decades. The machineries were being from different people, different SIs. So this gets into the data normalization part. So like to visualize the data. So you have the raw data everywhere. So it's all about, when you talk about digitization, it's all about data. But the first and foremost part is like on the OT side, I'm starting with the normalize the data. So that's where the first challenge. And then once you have the data and analytics comes on board, then you have this, all the improvement, OEE and efficiency improvement and logistics improvement, everything comes on board. When it comes to the IT side of it, the digitization of Mr. Jha mentioned about ERP implementation, like visualization of data. And also once again, Mr. Sharma mentioned also about the workmanship or the workforce training part, like that is also a very important part. So what we are seeing or what we are approaching is exactly the same way, like about the work. If we start with this particular journey with improving the work process, not even getting into the network or any component, then we get into the network and how you improve the data. If you don't have the data, how you can get that particular data. Then once you have the data, how you visualize, analyze, and utilize it. Once you have a dashboard available, where you want to send it across. As Mr. Chakraborty mentioned, like he want to visualize the data. So whether to have it in his office or to the force behind him where he can visualize and utilize that part. So this is exactly the journey which we are taking for this industry, and exactly very happy to hear that this is the demand in the industry also.
Thank you. Let me go to the second round now, and I'm going to begin this time with Mr. Chakraborty, who was the last person in the first round, so he gets to be the first person in the second round. Mr. Chakraborty, you alluded to some of the things that you have done in other parts of the business, which are more futuristic, and you also mentioned some of the ongoing initiatives. So when you look at the digital transformation journey, what are the 2 or 3 big things that we are focused on? Either you can talk in terms of activities or programs or priorities, however you want to look at that.
No, very good. So I'll talk about 3 things which we need to focus on, and a bit of a process. How do you manage these changes? How do you handle these transformations? So what exactly we want to do when you talk about a digital transformation? That means we want to make much more real-time decisions. We really want to intervene and get informed what's happening on the ground, be it in the mine, be it in your plant, or be it on the road, so that I can change the course of my actions and make some value out of it. Second thing is, of course, we want to generate value. So digital transformations are today's world, it is use case driven, and every use case has to give you some value. And that value has to be either increase of production or decrease of revenue, or maybe increase the level of safety in your mines, or there could be some other intangible values as well. In order to achieve that, principally we are focusing on 3 things. One is automation or the real-time monitoring of the systems. What does it mean? That I need to do a much more remote operations. Even I'm not in the ground, but I still need to be informed, get the access to the information in real time. And on the top of it, my analytics system, we can talk about AI or other machine language activities, converts that data into an information for me to make much more better or informed decisions. So that's one of the things which we are looking at. Second thing, our focus is only on digitally connected workers, digitally enabled workers. What we mean today by that is every person should be digitally enabled. He should be able to, like the way we run our life on this mobile, he should be able to perform all his jobs through his mobile apps, through his digital systems which you are implementing. Now, in order to do that, what you need in today's world is technology, which being widely used is a platform. And I think Sujith was mentioning about how do we access the data, how do we get that data, and all the cybersecurity piece and coming in. What we have done in Adani is we actually solved that platform problem by doing a big, JV or big partnership with Google. So we have moved all our workforces, all our workers, all our platforms into Google. We are in that journey and we have done quite well. And then we have put a very good security layer, which is encapsulating all our data communications. So we are actually taking a very holistic view and solving that problem and getting into much more in the platform side of it. A lot more investments are happening into it so that we can access the data, make our objects, orchestration, or if we want to put it into a data lake and do some advanced analytics, we are able to do that today. These are the three areas which we are primarily making investment and focusing to progress further.
Okay, great. Thank you. And now same question in terms of priorities, activities, plans for digital transformation, just 2 or 3 areas. Mr. Das, I'm going to come to you quickly because I know you have to step out for a short while. Yeah. Mr. Das.
Yeah. One is what you have told is that quality regarding the issue, I think, what I understand. Here, I will tell one interesting experience in our steel plant is that we had a plan to implement manufacturing execution system, but it was getting delayed, or rather it was not getting properly homogenized into our system. So what we did that from level 2, that is supervisory system, to SAP, directly linking the data. As soon as the production has happened, it is enumerated in SAP that this product is available for sales, and its quality data is also within that time, wherever possible, was entered in the system so that it is ready for dispatch to the customer. And we used to sell dispatch the material when it is still hot, and that gave a different experience for the customers or for us also, because we had a problem in stacking them. Enough space was not there, or it was requiring shifting, then properly stacking. All these things were avoided. This gave benefit for our organization. This gave benefit for the customers also. And for quality, as Mr. Jha was telling, that QR code we had implemented. The QR code tag was put on this material, on this product, and that product was sent to the product was received by the customers with those QR code. So there is no chance of having any mix-up of the quality of the product. Before this QR code implementation, we have implemented it something around 2.5 years back. Before this implementation of this QR code, we had certain queries, or rather complaints, that the material which has been dispatched as per our record and the material which has been received by the customer, there was some quality difference, or rather it was not serving the purpose. Certain cases were there. Now it is almost zero, and this is how we have improved upon the quality regime of the customer satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Sharma now. Mr. Sharma, digital transformation, next 3 years, what are the things that come to your mind in terms of key priorities or key activities or key technologies?
Right. So I'll share the 3 priorities we have. The first one would be creating a digital twin. as already shared by numerous of my panelists, creating that data is the first priority. In a manufacturing plant, different PLCs, controllers, they all emit different kind of data. Out of those thousands of tags, we need to identify which are the more actionable, which are the more relevant ones. So once we are able to create that data, create a digital twin of the entire processes, be it manufacturing, we can analyze, understand the bottlenecks. I'll give you an anecdote. One of my senior members, he said, when you are talking about a machine which is giving you 100 tons output, it is actually designed for 125. But there would be one limiting factor in the entire solution, which is limiting that capability to 100. If we are able to identify that particular device or the control, you can optimize it and increase the efficiency of the same device with the same running parameters, not without investing anything else. The same equipment can give you 125% of performance. And we were actually able to deliver it for 4 or 5 different operations. We actually saw it in action. So it was just a question of analyzing the data critically, understanding it, and making those relevant changes. So the first part would be creating an exact, accurate digital twin. The second initiative would consist of OT security. Today, IT systems don't exactly understand the OT data. The solutions, the security systems available are not able to understand critically the OT data. So OT systems security is now required. We have seen number of attacks on the manufacturing systems. OT specific attacks are happening. It happened in Saudi Arabia. We have seen number of instances in Iran also. And today, getting those toolkits is so easy. Anyone can access those toolkits, create havoc with your manufacturing systems. So OT, getting an OT security layer, which can efficiently and securely protect your data and manufacturing process would be second priority. And the third priority would be creating the trust in the data for analysis, and those dashboards should be able to give us enough confidence to take action out of that. Today, nobody questions the data of an ERP system, right? Though values are taken for granted, those data have been proven to be consistent and accurate. But those kind of confidence is still not available on the analytics data, the machine learning data. Those are still evolving models. So a third priority would be to create a system wherein the control systems, the operators, the management, they all can 100% depend on that data, the consistency and accuracy of the data.
Thank you. I will now go to Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, next few years, digital transformation, key activities or technologies or priorities?
Thanks, Suman. See, my as I've mentioned in my earlier discussion, the cement industry technically is more of a industry which has a lesser average age, and the adaptability of technology is much higher than the steel industry, because the industry has been growing for a long time now, and cement industry has come into, and the growth plan has come in the recent past. So that's the basic difference between the manpower composition of steel and cement industry. Having said that, if you ask me, some of the priorities that would come into phase-wise manner in the next few years would be integrating the vendors and the customers into my digital world. That's the most important priority, because I can invest anything in my processes. That's not a problem at all, because processes today also technologies are available, and I'm pretty sure every company is working towards it, because every company wants to know what's the breakdown time. Every company wants to know what the breakdown root cause analysis, what are the waybacks, how do I control that, because every cost and control, everything is placed for a company as a whole. But the most important factor that might be the industry is not looking at this point of time is the integration of such things, integration of of the digital world by the on account of the vendors and the customers. How comfortable are they? And what we bring to table for them when we implement a particular thing in place? Ultimately, whatever we are doing is for our customers. So if the customers are delighted and the customers are good with our technology, then we are good to implement any technology which is required and might be at any cost, because then we have to continue our businesses. You definitely agree with me that in times to come, the customer would look like, as we are talking sustainability as one of the buzzword nowadays, digitalization or the processes in place would be one of the factor that that the customer will look ahead in the future. So for me, if you talk about priorities, then the priorities would be ultimately more of my vendors and my customers into the whole supply chain into the digital era, and then getting all the analytics on the same platform with them, sharing our data with them, and might be getting the synergies out of that particular point. So this is what I would like to contribute to.
Thank you. Mr. Jha, I'm coming to you last for this round, but the next round I'm going to begin with you. But this round's question, sir, is digital transformation going forward. A few key areas for you: activities, priorities, technologies.
Well, as I told in the first session, that we have a very old plant, and our mines are almost 90 to 120 kilometers away, and they are deep mines. The issue of raw material is a big issue here, because the quality of ore is challenging. So we want to predict the quality of ore with a real-time sample while it is on the conveyor. Because you take some sample and you predict that that is not the real delivery. So there we want to use digital transparency in terms of video analytics or some other technology. That is one area, but we have already defined some 10 to 12 projects which are more or less for the process, rolling process mostly, and for equipment availability. That the asset life has to be ensured. So for that purpose, that vibration, temperature, and other sensors are to be put in a major equipments, wherein you can predict if there is any preventive signal is there, you can stop and rectify in time. That is one. Then secondly, we have got some image analytics issues that we are taking care, like your bundling of angles and channels that is used by our marketing people. So that we have already done. We have done the POC, and we will be implementing very soon. But most of the biggest problem that we are facing is the high-speed rolling process in wire rod mill or rail mill or even other mills, bar rod mill. The cobbling, because of some variation in maybe metal inputs or maybe temperature, or maybe some sort of other process parameters, the metal gets cobbled. Cobbled means it gets jumbled. If it gets jumbled, then you have to evacuate that metal. And by that time your process stops. So you lose the production time, and you lose the metal as well. So defects has to be reduced. The process has to be more productive time has to be there. So process efficiency, productivity, and equipment availability, and besides that, the safety of manpower. So this is a very high temperature area, high noise area. A job is there, and there are many old equipments where you need to have manpower to maintain. So there some risks are there. So how to ensure that high risk area, how you can supervise those things, and how you can help people train so that there is no loss of life or any injury as such. So these are some challenges that we are working on, and we have already taken help from other partners to co-creation, that we are working together to evolve certain outcomes in this direction. And the journey is on, and I think there is immense potential in this field. New technologies are available, and people are really interested in working with us. But once they come on the side, they find it is difficult. But then difficulty is there, the first step. Next step will be that we'll find the direction. Thank you.
Okay. It's now the turn of Belden, and I don't know whether it'll be Sujith or whether it'll be Nitin or whether it'll be Gaurav, but I'll leave that to you. But one of you can respond to what you heard, or you can respond to one of the things you heard. You don't have to respond to everything you heard. So just 2 or 3 minutes on anything you want to either re-emphasize or something that you heard the panelists speak and you want to respond to them. But 2 minutes only. So yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So essentially, I think most of the points that the panelists mentioned, especially some of them, if I can recall, were Mr. Chakraborty mentioned about taking real-time decisions. And for that, we would want data, and the data has to be available real-time. And of course, if you are going to be handling processes, generally a digital twin is the best way forward, because it's going to give you an exact replica of what your plant is going through at that point of time. And the other benefit of having a digital twin is, and also having so much data at your disposal, is you can move from preventive maintenance to predictive maintenance. Thereby, you're actually saving a lot of downtime that you need to take. You don't have to take a shutdown or maintenance every 3 months. Maybe your machinery can actually handle a much longer stint before it has to go into maintenance. Another point, I think Mr. Pankaj also mentioned that, it's about, it's 100% efficiency, but the machine is actually made for 120%. So we would never know that unless we are actually studying the monitoring of the machines, monitoring of the plant. That's why I think most of the panelists here mentioned that they would want to implement either a vibration monitoring system or a condition monitoring system, which is again a trend that we're seeing not just in process industries, but also in the oil and gas industries. Because again, it's quite similar, right? A lot of moving parts, a lot of mechanical, machines which have to work together and sustainably and in a very jointed manner to actually give the right result. So I fully agree. And like Sujith said, I think we are in the right place, and we would love to continue this conversation to understand more. And I feel for all the points and all the investments and all the actions that panelists want to take, data is really critical. And data is like a mine, since we're talking about steel and metal and mining, data is available in your plant. It's just going to lie there if it's not brought to your control center, brought to the right people, and orchestrated in the right manner to take the right decisions. So that's where I feel is going to be the most important part.
Thank you. The next round, I'm going to begin with Mr. Jha this time. And my question is this: what are the big issues and challenges for you? And they can either relate to implementation of these technologies, or they can relate to problems they are dealing with. So they could, for example, relate to cybersecurity or whatever issues they are facing. So you can do either or both. Issues that you're facing, challenges that you're facing from a business point of view, or issues or challenges that you're facing from an implementation of your digital transformation plan point of view. Either way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you go first.
Very pertinent question. We are really struggling with such a scenario where really we have a lot of problems. We know that there is a huge, as we said, it's a huge potential, very big plant. The steel industry is not only steel making; it is feeding to cement industry for our slags. We have our own power plant. We have got our own chemical acid plant. Even fertilizer we are producing through our cocoa and byproduct. So a lot of things are there. Now the thing is that for putting sensors or maybe level 2 in old systems are difficult, and you cannot replace them overnight. So we need consultant who can really help us in this. So with the existing old technology and then getting data from there, as Nitin was telling, data is very important. Data, lot of systems are giving data as well, but how to analyze that data, how to filter that data for useful information, that is a big challenge. So many people are coming forward there saying, yes, we can do it. But choosing the right partner, choosing finding the capability of vendor that they can really produce, so the result or work with us. That is one big question that we are struggling with: how to trust vendors, so who has got capability or not, because filtering that takes a lot of time. Then if suppose somebody like say for example Belden comes and they says yes we can do it, and they say do some POC also. We cannot assume that we will give order to them. Then there will be open tender based on your aspects and all. Then that process takes time. In PSU, you have to be process driven. Lot of process are there. Lot of steps have been taken to be sure that you are fair to customers and giving equal opportunity to the all vendors. So these are some challenges that we are facing. Then, as I told, the processes are like for example, I said there is a big line of conveyor belt, it's maybe hundreds of kilometers. Now that gets cut because of some sharp-edge things come in the raw material. Now how to filter? So that and then we lose time, we lose asset, and then the productive time. So I think definitely when we are working some way or other, like I said, that a lot of motors and other things to get that high current signals and all that, which can tell you that there is something obstructing, or you can take early action to prevent larger damage. Those things are coming up. Then the biggest part is that the skill gap. The people out here are really, now technologies are coming, but the people working on the side, they don't have right skill for digital transformation. They are good in process, so there has to be amalgamation of the data scientists and the business scientists. So they have to, the business people have to learn data science, and data science scientists have to learn business. This too is a challenging thing. That then only really we can find a solution. Otherwise, lab solution is not going to work on site. So these are real challenges that we are struggling with, and definitely we are looking forward towards the right sort of the service providers and people partners, so that we can co-create and collaborate with them. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mishra, I'll come to you next, sir. What are the big challenges or issues that you're dealing with, either from an implementation point of view or just from an environment or business point of view?
Yeah. See, to narrate it in a very simpler manner, I'll understand it with an example. I'll narrate this with a simple example. We implemented some software of vehicle tracking 2 years back. The vehicle tracking was, the software was absolutely fine with us, and it was more. We were more than happy to get the reports, customized reports, everything in place. But as soon as we tried to collaborate with, integrated within our own SAP system, the flow of data didn't happen, and we ended up, our IT team and the software team were working on it, and then the integration part didn't happen as such, and then we had to really suspend that particular software. So what I want to highlight to the industry in this part is, every industry has a SAP in place as of today, who basically takes care of the whole gamut of systems that are in place. So I'm pretty sure that might be steel industry, might it be a cement industry, everybody has a SAP in place, and over a period of time, SAP has grown and has been customized as per the requirement of each of the industry, each of the location, I have to say, each of the company. So the major challenge that I see is when we bring in a new software into a place, software as its own, it looks very nice. I can be very goody telling that the software is absolutely fine, sir. It gives us customized reports, XYZ. But the integration into the present SAP system, the integration of the flow of data, I cannot agree more with Mr. Jha when he says that, when we have systems in place, we have to understand how the data flows in, and we have to look forward that how do we provide that kind of security to our systems when we integrate such softwares into it. So I think the industry and the software developers need to look it into a serious problem, because then we have experienced it. That's why I say all of the softwares, generators, they are good. We generate data, they are good with all their softwares, but integration doesn't happen with the present SAP system. So we need to design systems to understand the integration goes in a smoother way and the data flows in a smooth way. And the most important thing, my data is very much secured in the environment that is provided. That is what the industry would look forward in future. And that kind of challenges will be there, and we need to understand this and address it in the best of the spirit. That is a single point that I would like to make over
Okay. Mr. Chakraborty, I'll come to you next. Issues and challenges, either from implementation point of view or just the big issues you're facing.
Well, generally the issues are being faced on, I will put it in two, rather three buckets. One is the internal issues, which Mr. Jha was talking about, the issues which you have in a PSU. Similarly, we also have a bit of an internal issue because of a legacy system where it is implemented in a certain way, and these new digital waves have all of a sudden come in. And now how do you marry those legacy systems? And also along with this, the mindset, the change management, it itself has become a big challenge across the industry. So today, as we speak, around 70% of the POCs of the use cases of digital transformations are actually failing. Only 20-25% are actually being successful. The reason is, again, Ravindo was highlighting, so there is no data flow. Why it is not flowing? Because your underlying installation or implementation, when it was done, these informations was not available. So now you need to upgrade existing systems, tweak it, make it workable. That itself becomes another project. So it will take some time till you come back. And when you come to that level, some new technology will come. So that disruption will become a way of life. So we have to balance it. That's number one. Number two is that external system. Yes, typically the industry which we are in, we are not fintech, we are not even oil and gas. The mining is a little bit laggard with the regulations which we have. We cannot do anything which we want to do. And also the environment in India, comparing to the developed nations like Australia or UK, or if you go to somewhere in Europe, the mining happens in a different way. The autonomous vehicle, a lot of robotics are happening. In fact, Belden people will agree with me. A lot of APC installation are happening, right? So you have actually given the self-correcting control to your assets, your pumps. So it will automatically change its frequency. It will understand. So that kind of an advanced thing which has happened, which has not happened in India yet because of a bit of a regulation, lack of push from the government, the regulatory authorities as well, and also the environment. So that's the second other big challenge which we are facing.
Let me now go to Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, same question, sir. Big challenges, big issues.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. So I would reiterate what Mr. Jha and Mr. Mishra already said. Data integration remains one of the biggest challenge. We have legacy systems. We have systems built on straight out of Industry 4.0. We have machine learning capabilities. Few devices are enabled, few are legacy systems. So capturing those data in a seamless manner, integrating them so that we can be sure of the data, creating a reliable and trustable data model, transforming data wherever compatibility issues are there. Those remains the biggest challenge. And this is where most of the organizations who are trying to adopt to the latest technologies, Industry 4.0 initiatives, machine learning models fail. Because it has a huge steep learning curve. The amount of time you spend correcting the data, transforming them is immense. Until that time, most of the time, the management loses their temperament, they lose their patience. Boss, we are not getting the result. It's been 4 months now. Results are not delivering. So I'll come back to them going saying, boss, my model is 66% reliable. This is not what they want. They want a data which is actionable. Now this has a learning curve. These kind of technologies take time to deliver the solutions. But today business does not have that kind of patience. So we still lack those kind of reliable model which can be simply plug and play. I simply plug on those solutions, implement it maybe 2 days or maybe maximum of 1 week's time. So that remains the biggest challenge. And the second one would be the steep learning curve. In fact, I did advanced data science course from IIT Madras last year. So I was revisiting those statistics models and doing all those learnings. So it is a difficult task. Not everyone can handle that. And secondly, the new generation, they are too volatile. The attrition rates, the moment they learn something and they are out of the picture. Then you have to reinitiate the things. So that becomes a challenge. By the time your model is fully stable, the person who have designed those models are simply not there in the system. So that's the second challenge.
Okay, thank you. Let me go to now the Belden team, and they can pick whoever their spokesperson is. What would be your, based on what you've heard, what would be your recommendations, one or two recommendations to these people?
You want to take that?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe Gaurav's going to go for that.
Yes, Gaurav, we haven't heard from you this round, so Gaurav.
Yeah, I think understanding processes is an activity. It's it's not everything is not plug and play. We have to understand. What we can say is if we try to understand the customer pain points, we suggest the right approach. We want to be the right partners for the customers. So mainly into digitalizing the all the assets, moving on to the legacy systems and keeping it simple yet understandable and implementable. That is what that is what a solution is all about. So that is more or less the messaging from my side.
All right. Okay. So let's come to the last question that I have. Yeah, please. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, like Mr. Rashtriya was telling that the integration between SAP and vehicle tracking system and all those. So similarly, we also have a system here, vehicle tracking. Recently, we have implemented, and the service provider had very little knowledge about this, the software requirement as such. They had hardware, they supplied everything. But once they came here, and I am from C&IT, heading C&IT, and I have a team of people. So we once sat together and we have told them how to develop and what to do, and they are doing wonderful job. Now the geometric fencing, the route deviation, speed control, and all those things, and then it is integrated with we make a route map that the vehicle has to go which route to where, so that there is no deviation. He cannot lift some material from here and there and move some preference or something can be done. So that is being followed. The route is marked through SAP, and then they have to follow. If there is a deviation by 1 meter or 1.5 meter, there is an alert at the control center, and also the driver also gets the alert that he is deviating. So on the speed control, suppose there is a 30 km/h the speed, so we are giving a signal at 25 km that you are crossing. You will be defaulting. So this sort of thing we are doing. So there is a need to have the in-house capability there, because in SAP you have got a lot of facility of exchange infrastructure or process orchestration. There's a interface that you can develop. You can develop this. Standard SAP will not give you things. That is not providing such information. You have to develop yourself, and then you have to connect. And that standard will connect to your customized development, G-development sort of thing, and that will go talk to this. And similarly, as I told you, Mr. Suman was telling that QR code. QR code is not a big thing, but then connecting that QR code at real time with SAP to get the information from their system, that is a challenge. That is. So this is basically, the team has to be developed. So of course, I know if there is a small organization, a small team, such things are difficult to do, because that is not very. But then this can be done. And if any such requirement is there where we can help anybody, we are ready to offer that help. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm coming to the last round, or last question, which is going to be, is there something that you wanted to re-emphasize, or is there something that I didn't ask you about that you felt I should have asked? One particular point you would like to make, and I'm going to begin with Mr. Chakraborty this time. Mr. Chakraborty?
No, I think we are well covered there. Nothing specific which I see that we kind of have missed. It has.
Let me then ask you a different question, sir, because I do want. What does, in 2 words, what does Industry 4.0 mean for you?
Industry 4.0 means I can sit beside a beach, have my drinks.
Okay, wonderful. So remote control.
Absolutely, and my plant works in the expected way.
Remote control, remote management. Okay,
Absolutely.
Mr. Sharma, I'm going to come to you next. You can either give me a two-word answer to Industry 4.0. I think that's a good idea. Let me ask you just that question. There seems to be getting good response. Yeah. 2 words. Industry 4.0 in 2 words, Mr. Sharma. You have to unmute yourself, sir. Yeah.
So for me, say I would like to highlight, say Industry 4.0 in 2 words would be data and action.
Okay, great. Perfect. Mr. Mishra, what does Industry 4.0 mean for you in 2 words?
For me, it's speed and cost.
Okay, wow. Mr. Jha, in 2 words, what does Industry 4.0 mean for you?
I think it is data-driven information. You have to use the data. Data is the big asset. You have to use the data, and then that will result into all results, all parameters. So that is speed, cost, productivity, the performance, or user satisfaction, customer delight. Everything will come if the data is used properly at right time, at right place, and with the proper alerts. Okay.
Mr. Sujith, what does 4.0 mean for you in 2 words? I know you made presentations on this, but nonetheless.
Yeah. So for me, it is better data efficiency and better decision taking.
Okay. Gaurav, Mr. Shanbag, I should say.
Yeah, I think it is about how more efficient, things can go than what they already are. That is what is digitalization for me.
Nitin, you have the last word or last 2 words.
Well, I would say data-led decisions, because most of the decisions are human-led, so far at least. So data-driven decisions would be good to see.
Okay. We're coming to the end of the webinar. It's 4 o'clock, 4:01. We're late by a minute or so. And it's been a fantastic discussion. And we owe gratitude to Mr. Jha, to Mr. Chakraborty, to Mr. Sharma, to Mr. Mishra, to Mr. Das, who's no longer with us, and of course to Mr. Sujith, Mr. Nitin, and Mr. Shanbag as well. It's been great learning for us, and I hope to see some of you in person one of these days. Of course, virtual collaboration, of course, is useful, but I'm really hoping to see you guys in person. And again, thank you very, very much again. We will cover this in some form on the website, and we'll make sure we run it by you, the quotes that we're attributing to you, so that you're not misquoted or misattributed. And thank you again for joining us today.